Right, good afternoon ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Thai Talk with Dan, the channel where we share all of your Thailand stories. And today we're going to be sharing a story from Mike, who has previously emailed in twice sharing his Thailand journey. You might recall a gentleman where I made a video about him coming to Thailand to find his long lost son. Had a lot of comments, a lot of various different opinions, etc. And he's decided to let you know what happened to him when he interacted with his son that he had not seen since he was a baby. So, without further delay, let's get into today's Thailand story. Well, it's been around 9 months or so since I sent you part 2 of my life story. And after watching today's 2 stories, it feels like now is a good time to indulge you and your subscribers to part 3. Now I'm going to start this one by saying that the comment section will not be read by myself this time around, as some people are narrow-minded and think they know it all and are very judgmental and damn right rude. Dan, you are a wise man and your channel is about helping others to understand the differences between how people in the West are educated and brought up in life with completely different values to these Thai women. So to all the trolls in the comment section, do as you please. Haters will hate and lovers will love. So do your worst. Sticks and stones will break your bones, but names will never hurt me. Now, as this is part 3 of my continuing life story, you might need to link part 1 and 2 in the title so that people watching this get the whole picture and understanding. You're right in what you said in your latest video and getting things off one's chest, and to some extent that's one reason why I emailed you in the first place. The other reason was because you are English as I am too, and you and I both have sons that are half-half. Early last year I could see that you yourself was going through some hard times, and I wanted to share my story with you more on a personal level rather than for YouTube. But as your channel is about community, I agreed to you sharing it, and I thank you for your kind words of support and understanding. Once again, I am sorry for any grammar or punctuation mistakes, so you might need to edit my email so it sounds good on camera. So as you said in the last 2 videos, put the kettle on, strap yourselves in. This is one hell of a roller coaster of a ride. So, just a short recap of part 2 so your viewers can make sense of this part 3 of my journey. I went back to Thailand to try and connect with my long lost son, as we had lost contact over the years. So my previous emails did have some warnings of love and money, so it still fitted well with your content of your YouTube channel and your community you have been building over the years. I will start this long part of the story by saying great minds think alike, and just like you, Dan, I'm not ever going to pay for marrying or settling down with anyone, no matter who they are and what culture they come from.
You can do it.
You can do it! You can do it!
Good luck.
I'm a Brit, and apart from paying for escort services, which is purely transactional, I'm not a desperate guy seeking love. I don't judge others, and I was brought up with good family values and principles, even though some will say I'm the black sheep of the family, as I have never been married, unlike all my extremely large UK family. On reflection of part 1 and 2 of my story and some of the trolling comments, I agree I am not perfect. But I was taught unless you have kind words to say, then say nothing and keep your opinions to yourself. So, now that that is out of the way, let's kick off where things ended last time. So having tracked down and finding my son near Sisaket, which is in Isan, and embracing him for the first time since he was a baby in my arms, unfortunately things have not gone as well as I would have liked or hoped for. Foolish me to dream of a perfect happy ending which just hasn't panned out as I had planned. I'm not going to give the trolls the ammo to fire at me this time by telling them of my intentions and plans I had coming back to Thailand to connect with my son. All I will say is my plan was to stay and build a life for him and myself in Thailand, so I didn't come looking for love or lust from the ladies, which you understood from my first 2 emails. Yet the narrow and shallow-minded trolls are too dumb to understand. So you wanted an update, so that's what this email is all about. So, I found my son living as a novice monk, which I did know about, but not in the area that I was led to believe where his mother and family are living, but near enough that the place I had booked before arriving was about 2 hours away. So it was not the best place for me to be based, but I had already paid for 5 weeks and had booked a large place for my son to hopefully join me. Well, that plan went up in smoke very quickly and was to be expected when I now look back at my original dream plan. It was stupid of me to think that after all this time that had passed between my son and his Thai family, it was foolish of me to have this dream idea. So, contact had been made and telephone numbers and line app details were exchanged between me, my son, and his mother. So having now started to visit him in the temple and trying our best to communicate together, as his English skills are none, and my Thai language skills are very basic, these first few meetings were difficult and Google Translate was being used. His mother spoke good English, but had not spent any time teaching him, which I knew before leaving the UK. That's why I brought with me basic English teaching books. Now, these books seemed to be a good idea in my mind, but they went down like a lead balloon. I had been dreaming about meeting my son as a young man and had thought my aims in life would be taken by him and his mother as good ideas and plans, but how wrong I was. The first time we greeted each other, it was emotional for me, as clearly I had felt I had let him down as a father, and that's the main reason I emailed my story to you, as I didn't want you to have to suffer the same pain that I had been going through for almost 16 years. Like you, Dan, I don't run away from my responsibilities, and it was only down to poor health and not earning money to send to his mother that we drifted apart, and she soon found a new partner and had another daughter. So my son has 2 half-sisters, all by different men. Now, it's normal in Thailand for boys to spend time living as novice monks in the temple, and I knew this all along and I had no problem with this, as it's part of his culture and is one of the reasons when his mum was pregnant that I sent her back to Thailand so he could have a Buddhist upbringing. I do in some ways regret that decision now, as it feels like a form of brainwashing, which at the time, 16 years ago, I felt a connection with the religion and was trying my best to live a life with these same values. Meeting my son for the first few times soon went downhill fast, and trying to speak with his mother was drawing a blank time after time. I will admit I was putting her in a tough position, having to be the go-between, but I thought she would be able to help myself and our son to form a bond, and that's not what happened. Also, having some personal issues, having lost my passport before I had a chance to do a visa extension or border run, things just went from bad to worse once more. Lucky I had paid for and booked other places to stay in other areas, which gave me time to order a new passport from the UK, but unfortunately, the place I had booked was in a province much further away from him, so visiting him was not possible, and my messages from him were being blanked by him and his mother. The only time he sent me messages was to ask for money so that he could buy himself expensive gifts, and I wasn't about to pay him for his attention or his time. His aunt and mother were only interested in me buying him land or cars, and clearly think that money is the answer to my prayers. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and his half-sister in the UK was brought up knowing the value of money and being hard-working and to save for the things you want to buy. So I wasn't about to go along with these Thai ways of paying for time in exchange for his time. I had, before meeting him for the first time, spent time talking with some monks and Thai men, asking about life as a novice monk, and I soon found out red flags or lies from my son and his family very quickly. I'm not rich, and I knew to make a life in Thailand I would need to be box clever and not fall into the trap of drinking beer every day out of boredom, which isn't hard for me as I have never enjoyed the feeling of being drunk, but I understand why so many visitors to Thailand do. Now this was very lucky for me, as each day was costing me 500 baht in overstay fines, and the UK Embassy said it could take up to 16 weeks to sort out my new passport. So, my days being miles away from him was being spent at the Airbnb that I had booked before arriving, that I already paid for. So lots of sitting alone week after week waiting to receive my new passport so I could leave the country and pay the 32,000 baht fine and exit and come back into Thailand. Cash in hand and at the border with police reports of lost passport, no red stamp, just a big bill to pay, and I could exit and come back. Now I had done these same border runs many times before. The first 2 times I had been in Thailand many years ago and crossed back into Thailand within minutes of leaving, but this time I wanted to see parts of Laos other than the border, so I cross over and find a cheap place to stay so I could go and explore the area. Now by day 2 I decided to rent a motorbike and go see wild monkeys at a temple. That was a big mistake, as driving back that early evening I had a motorbike accident. And if I hadn't been wearing a helmet, I would probably be dead or have brain damage. 3 fractured ribs, broken collarbone, and lots of cuts and bruises. I was in a great deal of pain, which then stopped any more exploring of Laos, and instead lots of bed rest and meditation. Explaining and sending scans of my injuries to my son and his mother were all met with absolute silent treatment. Could life get any worse? And being in so much pain and nobody in my Thai family seeming to care, it made me very depressed, and I had some very dark days thinking about ending it all. as a way of escaping my life. Having fought so hard in the past to overcome a mini stroke, I wanted to quit life, but loneliness was creeping into my life. So like so many other men, I found myself downloading the dreaded Tinder app.
Oh, hell no!
Matches in Laos were non-existent, and as the border with Thailand was the opposite side of the Mekong River, 99% of the matches came from Thailand.
Shit, here we go again.
Some miles away, but one lady from the Thailand side of Mukdahan matched and we started to talk. I had put in my profile the reasons I came to Thailand and about my son in an effort to weed out the love scammers. Now this one lady, the same age as myself, started talking via the Line application. Very soon after meeting on Tinder, and unlike all the other girls messaging me, she seemed to be putting lots of effort into her responses back and forth. Unlike the single short small talk that I get very bored of with all the other matches, and clearly put in no effort and clearly thought the good looks and youthful beauty was going to win me over. Now, as I never came looking for a wife or girlfriend and had spent the best part of 20 years dedicated to my daughter back in the UK, being single and doing my best as a dad to her, the single life had become my life. My weekends and holidays were spent with my daughter coming to stay with me. Being in a great deal of pain and having no family nearby, and my daughter now having her own life at 20 years old, I felt okay leaving her and my family to take care of the broken relationship with my son. Now, what I never thought about for a second was that my daughter would be jealous about me leaving the UK and coming to Thailand and then cutting me off from all communication. That hits my heart so deeply, as I thought myself and her mother had done a good job with her upbringing. Now clearly depression was taking hold of me, and the injuries take a long time to heal, and the lady from Mukdahan seemed genuinely interested and seemed to care about my well-being. Thai people can enter Laos without a passport, and she soon invited herself to come over the bridge and see me, saying that she would book her own place to stay, so I accepted this offer. Half of me was telling myself she's just joking and she wasn't going to come, so I wasn't getting too excited and didn't think much about it until the day that she came. She sends me a message from the Laos side of the border saying she's on her way and asks for the name of the place that I'm staying at, which did ring alarm bells, as that was not the agreement. I thought that we would just meet for the first time at a restaurant, but I still give her the name of the place that I was staying at. At this moment in time, I was sitting with the owner of the hotel talking, and who should turn up with bags in her hand? Can you guess? That's right, the Thai lady I had been speaking to for just over 1 week. Shocked. I quickly asked the owner of the hotel, "Do you have any spare rooms?" And the reply was, "No, we are fully booked." That is all I need, I'm thinking. And the first clear as day red flag. So I greet her and she joins myself and the owner of the hotel at a table. And for those that don't already know, Thai and Lao language are very much the same. I know enough Thai language to understand that the owner and the Thai lady have just talked about her joining me in my room, and as her profile picture didn't do her the same justice as in real life, I wasn't too sad to agree with this new agreement. Woohoo! So, After about an hour, we drop her bags off in my room, which, because I'm a cheap Charlie myself and the owner rented me one of the rooms which was for her staff members and not technically part of the hotel. So seeing my cheap Charlie living conditions, I'm sure she was taken back at how I had been living while I was recovering from my accident. She had previously told me and given me the impression that she was learning English, and I had told her I was doing the same, learning more Thai language, but now we meet in Lao, and even though the two languages are similar in many ways, and I had gotten by speaking in Thai with the local people of Lao, listening to her speaking with the staff at the restaurant with background music and at a less formal interaction like she had with the hotel owner, I couldn't keep up, and Google Translate came to the rescue. She said from the start that she had never been with a foreigner, but once a Westerner as her husband, as she was a widow of over 11 years and her husband had died many years ago, and she had been throwing herself into working for herself and supporting herself with her drinks store inside one of the university's canteens. Our first night was spent eating Korean style barbecue, as I know Thai people like to sit and cook and eat this way, and it's seen as somewhat of a luxury way of eating out. The conversation wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, and she spent lots of time speaking with restaurant staff and the owner's children. And soon the night was coming to a close, and it's back to my cheap Charlie room. And not wishing to kiss and tell, as that is not my style, your viewers can and will make up your own minds what happened that first night we spent together.
I need you, baby.
Because of my pain from my still healing bones, getting comfortable in bed was still very difficult, so I had many restless nights, and I could only sleep on one side of my body. It just so happens that the bedside table and plugs are all on my side of the bed. The morning comes and she's taking a shower as I'm laying in bed still, and an incoming message pops up on her phone. Name, Ollie. Short message saying in English, I will love you always. Red flag. Now, do I care at this point? Do I react? Of course not, as I have only been speaking to her for about 10 days and seen her in the flesh for less than 24 hours. When she comes out of the bedroom, I jokingly tell her that one of her many boyfriends has just sent her a message declaring his undying love for her, and the look on her face says it all. So then I shower and dress and take her to my favourite breakfast place to eat. By this point, I had been ordering food myself without any issues at all, and now she's with me, she takes over and orders lots of expensive food that I don't normally eat myself. Not because I don't like the food, I just order food to fill me up, and I don't really care what I eat as long as it gives me energy. But she's ordering left, right and centre, tons of food, plate after plate, keeps coming. Clearly, I'm picking up the bill, so what does she care, right? By plate 4 coming out, I tell the staff serving us to make it to take away as I'm full and annoyed that firstly I'm being treated as a fool that can't order his own food, and secondly she's clearly not going to put any money towards paying for any of it. By this point, the phone that received the message that morning isn't being used anymore, and it's been switched off, and we are now passing my phone backwards and forwards to each other using Translate. Now, I don't have anything to hide on my phone. I don't have anyone sending me messages. So just let this continue and even give her my password to open it and use it at her will. The conversation soon turns to her talking about her shop and how little profit she makes and how hard she tells me she has to work to make ends meet. And I keep joking that maybe her lover, Ollie, should send her money to help her out. She says to me that she has only ever spoken to this man from the USA online and that they have never met each other in real life, which I'm clearly not going to believe, as what sort of person falls in love with someone that they have never met in real life? Quite a lot, actually. So we leave the restaurant and return to the hotel. With all of this food, then I give it to the poorly paid and treated cleaners, which for some reason she does not seem happy with. And back to my room, and she's on the charm offensive and is all over me, clearly trying to use aerobics as a distraction and a way of winning me over. Once again, your viewers can use their own imagination as to what happens the rest of the day, as I don't kiss and tell. Then the evening comes and I'm sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and the owner is planning on making food for some of her guests and myself, and a Thai lady is invited to join and we accept the offer. I had at this point gotten friendly with two other male guests staying long term in this hotel, both of which had Thai and Lao partners. Also, that same day a few new people had booked into the hotel, and the kind host also asked them to join in, and they do. One is a 30-something handsome man that she cannot keep her eyes off. Do I care? Not at all. Red flags just keep coming. The one thing I have learned from my time in Thailand that also translates to Lao is Jai Yen Yen. For the internet trolls, please look up this meaning before you leave comments about my language skills and my understanding of the language. My phone is still being used by her to use Translate, and I leave it on the table and go and have a cigarette away from them. And when I return, one of the Falang men comments to his wife that this red flag Thai lady shouldn't be looking at my phone. So when I went for a smoke, she started snooping around on it. But as before mentioned, I have nothing to hide. But I join in on this conversation and use it as an opportunity to put her to the test. So I say, these people are correct to say this. So I ask for her to let me see her phone, and the reaction to this request just said it all. She freaks out, and I instantly from that moment on could tell she cannot be trusted, as it was clear as day she was not being open with the truth. The face that she made and her reaction also freaked me out too, and gave me flashbacks that reminded me of my son's mother. And it was like seeing her as I had seen that same look on her face, and then the childish behaviour afterwards. It was like seeing a ghost for me, and that similarity shook me to my core. The meal ends, and she's drinking beer most of the night, even though she claims she only drinks when celebrating something, which this night was just a dinner party for some of the long-staying residents. So, more lies. Now, I'm not much of a drinker myself, but I have noticed a lot of Thai and Lao people have lots of things to so-called celebrate, like the sun going down or whatever day of the week it is. I lost interest in Buddhist ways after seeing how much these people use any reason to drink and live a pure, clean lifestyle is all a show and means very little once you have your eyes open to the real day-to-day living. Now, I'm sorry at that personal poke at the Thai people, but these guys and girls know how to drink, and I'm not much of a drinking person myself after spending my 20s working security in nightclubs and bars. I really hate with a passion fake religion and utter false statements about not drinking, and simply hate people that tell lies. Lie to me once, fool on me. Lie to me twice, fool on you. That is my motto. Treat me like garbage, swear at me, shout at me, be angry with me. It's all just sounds I let in one ear and out the other. Years of working with drunk and mentally ill people has taught me to just let it wash over me. But telling lies ends all respect instantly. The trolls in the comments will of course say I don't understand the cultural differences, and to them I say, you do you and I will do me. The night draws to an end and I can't shake this image of my ex-Thai girlfriend, my son's mother. So I'm in no way in the mood for her. Once again there are sexual advances and this makes her mind work overtime, and we both have a very restless night. Mine still due to the injury pain and now sharing a bed with her. By 4:30 to 5 a.m. I can no longer just lay in bed next to her, and I'm exhausted by the red flags and falsehoods. I make myself a coffee and go and sit in the car park smoking and waiting for her to wake up, and after a few hours she was up and is now sitting chatting to the owner of the hotel, and in my best, sweetest Thai, call over to her, I don't like you because you lie, so please leave and go home. Hit the road, Jack. I then walk down to the Mekong River, grabbing breakfast and more coffee, and sit listening to music, just chalking it up to one of life's stories and not paying any attention to the constant stream of messages she's sending to my phone, all of which I pay no attention to. This continues for about 3 hours, then stops. So I think she got the message that I'm not interested and had gone back to Thailand. Now Dan, I'm so sorry once again for pouring all of this out to you, and as you said yourself recently, I'm getting it off my chest. The story doesn't end here, but I will let your viewers decide if they want to hear more and the ending. Does everybody want to hear the whole story, as I have more to tell and some of it gets more juicy? This actual email has taken me 8 hours on my phone and I'm physically not able to write anymore. Dan, hold on to your son with all of your might and don't let his mother brainwash him against you, because if you give her half a chance, she will try and brainwash him. Don't make my mistake. Hold him close and never let him go. And for the trolls, bye for now, your curring simp in Thailand and Laos, Mike. Right, Mike, thanks very much for your very long story. I think that was about 36 minutes long, but we got there in the end. I personally am very interested to know what happened with your son. I am not interested in the Thai lady whatsoever. All I want to know about is, have you managed to, obtain a relationship with him now? Have you managed to stop them just keep going on about money? But you're going to find that quite difficult, Mike, in all honesty. If you go back into his life, then the mother is going to expect support money from you. and she's going to expect you to buy clothes, take him shopping, you know, do things. Yeah, they can try and push you, buy land, buy a car, so he's got something for the future, or they've got something for the future, you know the score, mate. But they are going to do that. I think that's going to happen mostly anywhere. You've not been in his life for many, many years, so yeah, they're going to push for something from you. But standard stuff, mate, is you helping to contribute money every single month, and maybe going sorting clothes out and stuff for him, and helping with his education and stuff if you're able to do that. So hopefully you can manage to get some kind of bond with your son, and keep the vultures at bay, so to speak, in regards to wanting crazy money. You can only do what you can afford, and the main thing for your son is that you're around for him, but you're going to have to learn the Thai language as much as possible for the time being, especially if his mother's not teaching him English and there's no school teaching him English, then it's near enough impossible for him to learn. So your Thai is just going to have to increase, and then you can get a bond with him, because communication is the only way you're going to get that bond. In regards to the woman, typical, yeah, you met her on an online dating site, she lied to you from the get-go, she come over to see you, and she didn't stay in her own place. Of course not. Why the hell would she speak to somebody online and go and pay for her own room and her own stuff? No, she's coming for a free holiday, hoping to get some money from you, hoping that you might fall in love with her, hoping that you maybe become a sponsor. But all that definitely went Pete Tong. For me, I don't understand why you would persevere with letting this woman stay with you when these red flags are popping up. Guys need to be a lot more hard here in Thailand, and as soon as you realize that the woman is bad, get rid of her as fast as possible. You don't need to be rude. You just say, it's not working, I don't really feel anything for you, blah, 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 but you're a great person. You don't need to call her out on her lies. They like to save face, so they're not going to admit it. It's the way that it is here, and we have to accept that. So if you don't want someone in your life, don't keep them in your life. Don't prolong the agony. Hopefully we get the next part of the story, and hopefully the ending of this story, and hopefully it can be a positive one. Let's see. And let's see what you guys have to say down in the comments below. Now, in regards to me, my son will go home today after school. This 2 weeks has flew by really, really fast, and I do find it very difficult when I don't have him for the 2 weeks. It's very strange when you're taking care of your child, like full time for 2 weeks, and then all of a sudden I don't have him for 2 weeks. It's something that I need to learn to deal with, and I need to get into a routine a lot better when I've not got him. So there's a lot of work for me to do to try and get some kind of healthy balance when I do and don't have him. Now guys, in regards to your own Thailand stories, please take the time out to send me an email and share your story, and we can share it with everyone on the channel. Please email thaitalkwithdan@gmail.com. As this video is a long video, I will say good night, God bless, take care, and ciao for now. Bye bye.